goodness. My, you certainly are a drooly one.
The shell-kicking TMNT movie rated PG is now in theaters. And the Ninja Turtle heroes are also at McDonald's. I can get an awesome action toy in my Happy Meal.
Two things. Yeah, as you can see right behind me, given how I finally have my air conditioner installed, you can pretty much do the math on how far and wide I've been filming these episodes in advance over the summer. And second, in regards to today's flick, I don't have much of a nostalgic connection to it, but rest assured, I will be as fair as I can to it. Especially given what I have upcoming after this one. It pretty much makes this one look like a masterpiece compared to those two. But for now, let's focus on what we got for today. Back in 2007, when I first heard they were doing an animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, I wasn't that enthralled. I was a junior in high school, my heart was really close to live-action films, 2 of them at most, and while I wasn't really too shut off from animation in general, I wasn't completely avoiding the medium. It just depended on what Pixar and DreamWorks were chugging out. So I pretty much decided to take a pass at it and let its audience find it. Years later, I decided to give it a chance when I was in college, and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought it was okay and moved on. But over the years, it has gotten something of a cult following and an audience, which is kind of unique. So, just for this occasion, given the 30-year adult that I am, I popped it in, watched it, and I can certainly say that my thoughts have softened up just a little bit, but overall, they still feel pretty mixed, to be honest. I should say, the idea of an animated take was not a bad idea. Thomas K. Gary, who served as a producer for the live-action sequels, felt an animated adaptation was a better way to go. For one, it would be cheaper as the other movies got more expensive as things went along. And by placing the audience within an environment that doesn't feel grounded by reality would help suspend some disbelief. My heart will always be close to the live-action films. You can just see the effort and the care despite the limited resources the cast and crew had to work with. But okay, there's more you can do in animation. And we have been proven time and time again that the sky is the limit. However, it really depends on what kind of rules and restrictions you place within this fantasy world so we can grasp the concept well. I shouldn't be too critical given the 1987 series very much had next to no limits, but that was not meant to be taken too seriously. Here, you can tell they really want to channel the tone of the comic book while still being family-friendly to an extent. I appreciate the attempt, but something feels off in places. The animation was done by Imagi Studios, who set up base in Hong Kong. From what I can say, given 50 to 60 animators worked on this movie, the effort does show. On a visual standpoint, TMNT looks great. I really dig the noir and sepia tone look that gives a gritty feel that's almost on par with the 1990 live-action movie. According to the director, Kevin Monroe, scenes were lit akin to a black and white movie, and then the colors were added in later. This really helps the nighttime scenes stand out with small lighting and contrast the vibrant daytime scenes. It's not too gritty to the point it looks ugly, but stylized enough to be its own eye candy. I also dig the voice casting very well. I can't think of a single person that stood out like a sore thumb. For the Turtles, there's James Arnold Taylor as Leonardo, Mitch Whitfield as Donatello, Mikey Kelly as Michelangelo, and Nolan North plays Raphael. The casting choice here feels somewhat between the 1987 cartoon and even the 2003 series that was out at the time. It's not too campy and not too serious. The turtle voice performers are right in the middle. They joke around and act like a band of brothers.
Bad news is this thing is gonna run out of bodies soon. Yeah, so? Do you think we should help these guys? I'd rather enjoy the show.
You also get Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is fine as April O'Neil, and Chris Evans is a perfect match for Casey Jones.
You can't go trick-or-treating without your mask.
Oh, babe. Thanks.
For the scenes these two share in the movie, I enjoy them. This time around, they try to live together and cooperate within their working interests. You can sense the chemistry between these two, despite the little scenes we see of them. I also should say it's kinda strange to see Captain America play a badass vigilante before taking on a Marvel superhero that is very much more as a Boy Scout.
At least some people care about justice these days.
There's other notable voices too, like Patrick Stewart, Sivi Sang from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, who I really enjoy here.
The Foot Clan and I have come to hear your offer.
Well, it appears that today is my lucky day.
The great Kevin Michael Richardson, who's always a delight to hear.
But if the curse is broken, we will no longer be immortal.
And cameos from folks like John DiMaggio to Kevin Smith. But I'm certain the one bit of casting you probably want me to talk about is Mako's take on Splinter. And to, first off, ease your anxieties, I love Mako. He was great in the Conan movies, has a long history of movie and TV show roles, notable for his voice work on Nickelodeon's Avatar as well as Samurai Jack, and surprisingly a good singer as well. No joke, he was one of the original cast members in Stephen Sondheim's production of Pacific Overtures.
Beyond the screens that glide aside are further screens that open wide with scenes of screens like the ones that glide. And no one presses in.
Fun fact, that performance got him a Tony nomination for Best Leading Actor. So, with all the great respect I have for Mako, how is it that his casting here doesn't quite work for me? It appears I am a scanner. Who knew? Let me break some down without exploding any more Mako enthusiasts. I can see the direction they wanted to go here, casting a veteran Japanese actor for the part. I'm all for the idea, but there's something off about Mako's voice that sounds too deep and gravelly.
You always bear the world's problems on your shoulders. It is an admirable quality when you are a protector of others.
I'm used to hearing Splinter having this distinctive soft voice, which I feel fits the character.
Anger clouds the mind. Turned inward, it is an unconquerable enemy.
It perfectly fits on how one can undetermine how Splinter can go from a wise master to surprisingly unhinged when he needs to be. And 7 years prior, the voice Mako used for his role in Rugrats in Paris sounded to me more fitting for Splinter.
I'm stepping down as president of Yamaguchi Industries, and I've begun a search for my replacement.
Looking past that, the character animation complements Mako's voice acting from the body language and expressions. It's sad that Mako never got to see the role completed. Not too long after the announcement of his participation in this adaptation, Mako sadly passed away of esophageal cancer. Now, director Munro has confirmed that he was able to voice all his material for the feature, but some sources say Greg Baldwin doubled in for some of the voice recordings when extra material was needed. No matter how the story goes, knowing this trivia alone, it still amazes me to see that Mako gave it his all, no matter what. With great animation and a solid voice cast, the last thing to ask is, how does the plot hold up? Well, here lies my biggest issue with the movie. For something that looks and sounds good, the story never quite lands. There are two aspects, one that I can get behind, and one that doesn't work for me. Director Kevin Munro wanted to have a bring the family back together type of story, sort of The Band reunited. Leonardo returns to New York after going on a training exercise in South America, feeling the team is lost without him. I kinda like the idea of the Turtles trying to grow up and get jobs. Donatello tries to work as a computer tech hotline service, and Michelangelo is a birthday party entertainer. I guess they must explain how they get their finances somehow. I always guessed in the live-action films they just robbed from the bad guys they beat up in order to get pizza money.
Wise man say, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Meanwhile, Raphael lives a secret life as a night vigilante called the Night Watcher as a result of missing the team's old fighting ways. I do like the idea that the Turtles are contemplating whether they should continue their life of fighting crime at night, or just settling down and having a life. It brings to question if one should continue doing their own childish ways, or grow up and become an adult. I can totally get behind that idea, but here's what bugs me. If Leonardo is sent away for a training mission, exactly what he was to gain from it? It's ironic how he returns to denounce vigilante lifestyle after helping a village from a tyrannical colonel. When it's the Turtles working off each other, the movie works fine. It falls apart a little bit once Leonardo figures out Raphael's a Night Watcher and fight it out. The fight itself is well choreographed, don't get me wrong, but it's moments like this that kind of take me out of the moment.
We got along just fine without you! Oh, and this qualifies as just fine? Dressing up like it's Halloween every night? Risking the safety of our family?
Well, yeah. Isn't that what being a hero is all about? Sacrificing your goodwill for the safety of others? Batman, Spider-Man, Venture Brothers? In short...
The hardest thing about this job is you can't always save everybody.
Also, just to twist the nunchuck even further, you gotta love how Leonardo doesn't figure out that it's Raphael under that costume. I mean, who else is big, bulking, and has 3 fingers in the city of New York? It's even more complexing too, given how Casey Jones figures it out in just half a millisecond.
Wait a minute. How'd you know it was me?
Wasn't that hard, man. You know, you look like a big metal turtle.
Now, I can let some of that slide, but here's where the movie doesn't quite hold up for me, and it's the other subplot that tries to anchor everything together. An ancient warlord gains immortality, but unleashes 13 monsters in the process. In the present, a wealthy tycoon, voiced by Patrick Stewart, collects the stone generals related to the warlord and seeks to collect all the original monsters to open up the portal again. Why? Probably for the best I didn't spoil it. He has April working for him under her artifact collection agency. Yeah, they decided to make her some kind of Tomb Raider, which kind of feels weird. And the Foot Clan is hired on to capture the monsters, led by Karaya. And despite the faults of this film, I kind of like this incarnation of her. She's sleek, and for what we see of her character, she's kind of cool. I love how she can control her group with the slight movement of her hand. That's kind of neat.
The food ninja is not without honor. We work for Winters, not you.
In regards to the whole monster collecting subplot, something about it feels off to me. Originally, Director Monroe wanted these monsters to be the establishment for inspiring classic monsters, like Bigfoot, vampires, Loch Ness Monster, the Jersey Devil, and so forth. However, as the movie kept getting cut down, so did this concept, which is only lightly hinted at one point. As much as I want to question just how long in hiding these monsters have been, how is it when the Turtles go up against these beasts that get captured by the Foot Clan easily? In fact, why have them go up against these creatures only for them to run off? It probably would have made more sense if they try to capture one and use it to see what's going on, but that never happens. In hindsight, maybe it would have been a little better if they played it safe and adapted a storyline from the comics. Heck, I heard at one point Kevin Monroe wanted to adapt the City at War storyline. Now, there's a good material they could have pulled from. And if your will is to show the capabilities and limits of what you can do in an animated environment, especially if you want to go so far out, maybe they should have just went all out and done something completely insane. I heard at one point there was a future sequel that would involve the Triceratons getting involved, and with Michael Clark Duncan as the leader. And it has been proven that there are other adaptations in the animated series, albeit 2003 or 2012. Heck, even some of the animated movies, right down to a crossover with Batman, have shown exactly the capabilities of just how far they can go with the levels of absurdity. Instead, what we get is practically a poor man's version of the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, but with monsters. Joy. I guess it's no surprise to say a lot of this movie changed over the course of production. Co-creator Peter Laird was the only consultant on this film, as him and Kevin Eastman parted ways in the 2000s after some creative differences. Laird was very much on board with this version, and didn't have too many issues aside from small things here and there. The original version of TMNT was close to 2 hours in length, with many subplots and ideas that eventually landed on the cutting room floor. The biggest one I wish was saved was the relationship between Casey Jones and April. Originally, Casey wrestled the idea of settling down and having a life over continuing his vigilante days. From what was released to the public, there is some really deep stuff, and it feels like it could have added some mature edge that would have been unique.
You know, it seems like all I do lately is just make her upset. She used to laugh so much, you know? And now it's mostly just working all day and coming home to point out how I'm a screw-up. And she doesn't like me doing this. And I know she's pretending to not know I'm out tonight, but she knows. And she knows I know she knows.
In the conclusion of the original concept, both realized the best ways to work together and share a life and adventure. In the final cut, it has April being okay with Casey's nightlife and the two living together. Well, the movie is called TMNT, not Casey and April's Adventures in Marriage Counseling. There's also the question of exactly what kind of continuity does this movie fall in, and for me personally, I feel like it exists in its own universe. Except for one tiny thing at the end. Turtle enthusiasts will be quick to see some notable artifacts in Splinter's room. If they were purposed to be small Easter eggs, they're kinda cute. By the way, the painting of his Master Yoshi on the wall is actually kinda clever. But if the purpose of these items to be here is just for a look and point moment, it truly shows the necessity of this entry. So if it's not meant to be a continuation of the live-action films or the cartoon, to say that it's set within its own world is kind of an ironic understatement of its own product. TMNT is clunky, but I would not say it's a waste of time. I feel like this movie needed one more pass in the writing to really have it come together. There was already some interesting concepts, but it feels like two different movies that don't come together. Still, I like the visual aspects, and the voice casting is certainly spot on. However, the story just doesn't come together for me. The whole ancient monster idea would have felt more comfortable as an animated miniseries, or possibly as a video game for that matter. It's too complex for such a short 78-minute movie, that is if you don't count the end credits, and I really feel like there needed to be more air room to just let it breathe more. For a $34 million animated budgeted movie, it did okay at the box office. Not big numbers, but at least to show there was enough legs left in this franchise. Plans were made immediately for a sequel, but sadly they never came to fruition. Some of the animators and crew members left and moved on to other projects, some of which sadly never got off the ground. And as for Imagi Studios, there's no other way to put this lightly. They went bankrupt. After their next movie, Astro Boy, bombed at the box office, it was sold and turned to Blockade Entertainment, who worked on the movie Ratchet & Clank. That one bombed as well, but ironically was directed by Kevin Munro. In hindsight, TMNT might not be perfect, but at least it was a nice attempt to see these guys in animated form. Though there was another reason the film's sequels got canned. In 2009, on the 25th anniversary of the Turtles' comic creation, it was announced there was going to be a new live-action reboot. And about time. I mean, it's nice to see these guys in an animated environment, but it's also a breath of fresh air to see them running around in a real-world environment. What could possibly...
No, whoa, chill. It's just a mask. See? Don't freak out.
Yeah. That thing. Tune in tomorrow, because it can only go downhill from here.
ninjas were mutants.
Technically, we're turtles.
Ninja, mutant, turtle, teenagers.
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous.
Still figuring out the buttons.
Cut.
The bird from the sea, not knowing pine from bamboo, roosts on anything.
Exactly.